Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. No fooling. Oi. Thanks for the sub, Pheasant SC2. Subscribe for 19 months. He's late? No. You're early. Outrageous. Alright, well, I just installed 4.6.2 stable, the new Godot version they just dropped. So we'll get that launched here. Going right into it, I guess. This is episode 337 of Digital Iliad. I guess I'm introducing the episode numbers at the top of the episodes here. I think it's good for first-timers and people on the VODs. We're working on an FTL-like in Godot. FTL meaning faster than light, a classic roguelike game from Subset. Yeah. And it's a new month. It's April 1st. So no fooling around here. This isn't the fool box. But yeah, new quarter. New plan. I'm gonna start adding to these. Say like Q1. No, Q2. We are Q1's over. Q3. Q4. I'll say Q4 26. Q2 26. Q4 26. These are our goals. So we're going to start working on the Steam page soon. We're going to switch to what I'm calling screenshot-driven development. Meaning we're going to switch to like a method of development that favors visible progress, content development. We're going to try to jump ahead and get like some finished art pieces done that look like very convincingly like just snapshots of the game. For reasons that will become clear. And that's what we're going to switch into. We're going to begin transitioning to that. More to design stuff. A lot of mock-ups. It's going to be fun. We're going to switch into that sort of thing. Hi from past VOD watchers. Yeah, the past says hello. Still can't believe that Godot is shutting down. I know, yeah. They only got me once. I got once today before I realized it was April Fool's Day. It was the Godot Wild Jam. They got me. Someone was like, Godot Wild Jam is shutting down. And I'm like, what? And they had this whole funny website about how they're switching to producing like artisanal jellies. And I was like, Practical NPC got me with that. What a practical joker. Alright, GodotWildJam.com. Yeah, currently gives you this, which is pretty good. After 8 years, what's next for Godot Wild Jam? And then they go, someone put a lot of work into this. They want to say goodbye to Godot and hello to artisanal small batch fruit preserves. Introducing the Wild Jam. Grape.gd. So good. So good. GodotWildJam.com. Wild Jam would taste good. Yeah, it'd be pretty good. Pretty funny. They also have C# cherry, which is pretty nice. Slightly more robust and strictly typed flavor. I like that. I like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty funny. That was the one. That was the only one that I genuinely opened that link being like, oh no, the Godot Wild Jam. And then I was like, oh, it's April. I'm just not going to open the news today. Because I know every headline I read is just going to be absolutely bullshit today. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Rhiannon, you forgot it was April 1st. You woke up to your favorite band changing their Discord to U2 Fan Club, the new avatar. You freaked out. That was funny. It's April Fools, isn't it? Iliad's gonna try to fool people in the future that the game systems are working. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. But yeah, we're gonna work. We're gonna work today. I want to wrap up the selection icon stuff we're doing. And I said we were going to be doing outlining and planning. We might get to the planning. The outlining is very literal, though. Is this better? Was I like sickly yellow before? I guess I was. I had my desk lamp running. Now I'm my accurate pale self. In real life news, NASA has a launch window starting today to launch the Artemis 2 mission. Insane to schedule our like first, well, it's Artemis 2, I guess. I don't know. Insane to schedule a launch, such a significant launch on April Fool's Day, but I guess the weather doesn't look at the calendar. It would have been funny if they were like, come watch our moon landing today. We're landing on Mars. Or even better, do something about how like the Discovery 1 has been located off one of Jupiter's moons. All right, so we've been working on this. I've been working on this texture atlas format. I need to make a change to it. Well, need is a strong word. I want to make a change to it. Maybe we don't make the change straight away, but we're wasting a lot of space. I realize we have these big buffers that we store the lookups to the tile coordinates in. And what I've been just sending is I've been just sending a length for how big the buffer should be. What I should actually be sending is a vector or a bounding box, essentially, of the coordinate values that we accept, which would allow us to have like a tighter buffer. Switching the radio here. I want to make this change. I want to do it now because I feel like I'm not going to want to do it later. You know? But I don't actually have to do it now. I just want to. Maybe we'll do it later. We still have to change that format from being a class to being like an immutable structure. I don't know why I made it a class. I guess it's because it's got an array. It's got arrays in it. But yeah, the problem for us is if we go to our new, so our new format, our old formats, the buffer is 256, but we only need 47 of these. So actually it's super wasteful that we do it this way. What I actually want to do is send because right now what we're doing is we have a buffer that's sized based on the number of dimensions in the lookup. So a 4-dimensional lookup, in theory, a 4-dimensional lookup in the worst case scenario needs 256 sized buffer so that there's like no collisions or anything like that. But what we actually want to do is we can actually use these as like, we actually only need a buffer that's sized to the maximum values for each based on the bounds of the coordinates that we expect. So here, the biggest value is 3 and the smallest value is 0. So I think in theory, well, maybe this is a bad example. Watch me get through my whole explanation and be like, it doesn't work in this example. Okay, it doesn't work in this example. That's because this one has corners. This one actually more widely utilizes but our new textures are very small. So this seems wasteful to have a buffer of 64 just to fill it with, you know, 18 values. But maybe I don't care. Maybe I talked myself out of caring. But that's because this has no corners. Or it's less complicated. So we could fit this in a 27 sized buffer instead of a 64. But hey, X to start. How's it going? You swear if there are any goofs today, Commander? Yeah, me too. No fooling. No fooling around. All right, I just talked myself out of changing this. I realize I don't care. It's still really inefficient. Because like this one has no edges, it's just corners. And there's 8 values here, and it seems super wasteful to have a buffer of 64 values just to store 8 values. But yeah, I've decided I don't care. But yeah, ideally what we would do is we would replace these bounds, this buffer value with this bounds value. So the only real question is, do we take this value out entirely, or do we just add support for it and don't use it? And then just deprecate this buffer length eventually. It's probably what I'm going to do. See, this is the new me. The old me would not be able to stand this kind of inefficiency, and the new me is like, who cares? Who cares if the buffer is 64 instead of 27? Look, I'm like growing as a person. I think I'm going to leave them here so that I remember that I thought of this, and we're just not going to use them. You're proud. Thanks, Rhiannon. Hey, nerds. How's it going? Happy Fool's Day. Saint Fool Box Day. Yeah, we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip fixing this. But if I don't write this down, I'm gonna forget that I ever thought of it. So. Hey, Sapphire. Thanks, nerds. How's it going? trying to get some good work done. We've got a game jam in a few weeks. We got another one in a month. Feel like there's never enough time. I'm excited to kick off this screenshot-driven development nonsense I've been talking about. Why are we upset here? Array. What? What's wrong with this? Is there nothing wrong with this? I'm gonna say there's nothing wrong with this. The support for JSON files in here is not great, but I'd prefer to just open the file in here than have to bring it into my writer solution, because honestly, that's worse. It's almost worse. Close this file and reopen it just to make sure that the file is not fucked up. All right. That's it, I think. So what we can do, as long as I didn't change this. So what I need to do is I need to add support for a value here. Oh, I have to add support for a bounding box here then. I need to say xface tile bounds, get init, hit it. Something about init that just sounds like a Mockney question. Should take a screenshot of the game every day during this period, and at the end compile it into a 365-second video, 1 screenshot per frame. That would be cool. That would be cool. Tiles in it, bro. Yeah, exactly. I gotta not get in trouble for that sort of thing. I can't be out here talking about bottles. Someone will get upset. You can always tell someone who learned Commonwealth English and not American English, because they say can't, not can't. There's lots of little things, but that always seems to be the thing that gets people. Can't. I can't believe you've done this. So if you want to sound really American, you really gotta lean into the can't. I can't believe you've done this. You live among them, you're a happy nerd. There you go. Hamburger. Water. Yeah. Oh, that was really good. We watched a Trollope movie, like literally by the author Trollope. The Way We Live Now. They had like a Western American woman in the movie, and it was so funny. It was so funny. It was like the British view of that same kind of this person has never existed, kind of like just wildly over the top American character from like the 19th century. It was so good. Highly recommend the David Suchet version of the Way We Live Now. Very good fun. It's always a pleasure to see you in the city. All right, I think I need to add conversion support for a bounding box now, if I understand how this works. Are you allowed to post music in the Discord showcase? Yeah, it's fine. If it's something you made that you're showcasing, if it's a random piece of music, you should just post it in like off topic or something. But yeah, if you want to share your own music, that's fine. Guidelines around not safe for work content still applies. But otherwise, yeah, all good. Like, I don't know what kind of music you make. If it's like Death Grips adjacent, I don't know. No, I love Death Grips. Get got. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so this file, I think in the future is going to live in the vector integer files stuff. It's one of the VI. So I have this converter, and this is how... Right. So I define like a very silly converter, and that's how we do this. It's going to be an AABB converter. I want to open and split. Let's just split right. Oh, yeah, you're working on your garbage game jam. That's fun. That's very fun. System.type, I reckon. JSON serializer options. Options. All right, so what are we going to read? We're reading a bunch of values. So this is going to be int mx, min x. I should actually defend against an ill-ordered bounding box, like a bounding box where the max comes before the min. I should like defend against that, but I'm not going to do it right now. I don't care enough, but that would be a good idea. There's probably a better way to do this, but I think you know what I'd say about that, about doing this a better way. Just that we really don't care. So do we have to read all the way through? Like, why do we read? So we read the X, we read the Y. Why do we read again? I don't understand this part, why I wrote this. Oh no, I'm opening an external source. token type is JSON token type property name, the reader first moves to the property value. When token type originally or after advancing is JSON token type dot start object or JSON token type dot start array, the reader advances to the matching JSON token type end object or JSON end array. For all other token types, the reader does not move. After the next call to read, the reader will be at the next value when in an array, the next property name when in an object, or the end array object token. Fascinating. Or wait, is that for skip? Duh. This is like very lazy reading. But I don't think I need to do this. I'm going to get rid of that and see if that's fine. Yeah, I don't know why we have a reader read right at the end. Maybe it's helpful for the outer process. Like whatever calls this converter. We're going to leave it. I don't trust myself enough to understand why it's that way. We're just going to keep going. I'm also hoping this will continue to work across the separate arrays. Actually, how is this going to work? Couldn't we just convert the vectors and then build the array out of the vectors? Is that dumb? Would it be better to just do that? How would I do that if I wanted to do that? I don't know if I could do that. I think I'd have to be more clever to do that. Hey, LSDev. Just got finished standing up your website today. No hair was pulled in the making, but you sure felt like you wanted to. Great timing. Now you get to relax while you ride the high of getting almost everything web server done from scratch. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I want to invoke a JSON converter from inside another converter. Maybe that's unnecessary. Maybe that's like over the top. I'm gonna worry about this later. The rallying cry of let's not worry about that right now. We're just gonna comment out these elements. And if I care about implementing that bounds version, we'll implement the, any kind of bounds converting that needs to happen. Look at me. Look at me saying, let's not worry about that right now. And the only thing we would otherwise need to change is to comment out the stuff in the JSON. Oh. JSON doesn't support comments. We're just going to get rid of this stuff. I've written the bounds down somewhere, so I'll probably remember it if I care. If I care enough to implement this someday. It would be a slight memory savings, but meh. Of course, we're just going to be fooling around today because that's what today's about, right? All right, so we have our formats for the select outline and for the cursor outline. Select outline's much simpler than the cursor outline. Because, this is the cursor. Right. Hey, Cake Hug, how's it going? What's up? And this is the select. So the select is corners only. Cursor is corners and edges. And we're going to be drawing these just off of the bounding box. So we're not going to do a lot of complex block or face evaluations. Alas, you were pranking your future self? Yeah. That's fine. If my future self wants the benefits of doing that, they can put in the work. Praise Godot, you truly have been born anew. We'll add a to-do, maybe. To-do. Add support for building the buffer from the bounds to reduce the memory footprint of the board's buffer. We already need to redo this texture atlas format class anyway, so we'll just do that at some point once we start caring. To-do comments are your favorite kind of comment. That's literally the only kind of comment I use is a to-do comment. Notice. Yeah, we'll have to... This whole reading in formats thing is... I'm using the, like, jankiest possible version of it. It is not sustainable in the long run, but that's fine. We don't care. We're learning not to care about stuff like that until it matters. Now what am I doing? Now I need to rewrite the... So we're going to get these formats. So that's what I need to do, actually, is we need to actually get these new formats. We'll add it to this assets structure. Somehow there's still a reference to this. I'm going to remove that. Let's say public texture atlas format. We'll say cursor texture atlas format. Sorry, I'm still very allergic right now. It's been raining, which is helpful, but I don't seem to have seen the benefit of that yet. So I'm a bit sniffly. So apologies. But spring has sprung. How's everyone doing today? I don't know if I was muted when I mentioned this, but my allergies are acting up, so I'm gonna mute as often as I can, so you don't have to hear me sniffling and sneezing. So ready for Easter long weekend? Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't get a long weekend, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the occasion. I'll be going home, get to spend the weekend with my family. Be nice. I think I mentioned that I'll be going to my oldest friend's daughter's first birthday party, which is exciting. You have to see the baby, you know. Makes you feel old. All right, now we're getting in these formats. What we need to do is rebuild and plug those in. Rhiannon, you forgot that until now. Your job gives us Friday off as a holiday. Ooh, that's exciting. Nerds, you've done like 100 commits on your game in the last 3 days. You were spent. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a lot. Rhiannon, maybe you'll actually get time to work on the game. Ooh, that'd be exciting. And by game, you mean pixel art shader. You know, that's fine. We won't judge you for that. Yeah, 100 commits is crazy. I'm actually trying to... So I've split off a bunch of the code, especially the C# code, but like kind of just the more general functionality. Like I'm trying to split off our canvas item drawing technique, which doesn't depend on C#. So I could theoretically use it in like a game jam or something. Like I'm trying to split all my modules apart. And it's helpful insofar as I find myself doing a lot more discrete commits. Because right now in the main project, I do like one commit per stream. I'll just say stream episode 337 and I'll like list what we did on stream. And if I do some extra stuff, I'll do like off stream episode 337, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's so bad. So I'm trying to get, with all these sub modules, I'm trying to get into the habit of actually discretely committing based on features and stuff. And actually just organizing my code better. It's something I'm working on. Because, yeah, current me would totally make those 100 changes and put it all in one commit, and it would just be a nightmare. You've been wondering if the Git submodule changes would change the Git commit habits? Yeah, I think it is. I think it has. Nerds, you've done a couple of playtests with friends. Nice. But yeah, I'm sure that makes your change list very long. We're hooking these up. Hooking these files up. All right, we need the cursor texture atlas format, and we need the select texture atlas format. Arneo, you do like 2 commits a week, even when you're working on it every day. Yeah, that's I've come a ways from that, but not very far. I've come as far as to make 1 commit a day. But yeah, I want to get even better. Especially once we start managing builds and stuff, and we're actually tracking like branches and like all sorts. It's just gonna only get more complicated, and it will only ever get more critical to have good commit habits. So I'm trying to like set myself up now to be able to do it. That's the idea. We'll see if I start there. Okay, so it looks like everything's hooked up and we should be able to do this. So let's just run it just to make sure that's true. Because I would not be surprised if we just get some crazy error here. Yep. Vector 4i converter. Cannot get the value of a token type end array as a number. Oof. And that's here? Oh. Well. Oh, shoot. Hey, Nanigans. How's it going? I see the problem. Our current texture format expects a vector 4, but the new ones use a vector 3 because they don't need the 4th vector or anything. Okay, that's annoying. I mean, the easiest thing to do would be to like literally make different texture format types. That makes me sad. But yeah. That seems like the easiest thing to do. What do I want to do about this? Hex to start. Game devs been using Vector 2 and Vector 3 in the same project. It's time for Vector utils. Oh, I have those. I have some of those. I wrote my own little integer vector structs. They're really stupid, but they're fairly complete. And the nice thing about that is if there's a utility I want, I can just throw it directly in here. So, good news is this should be easy to do. The bad news is I'm going to need additional texture atlas format types, which sucks. Okay. Is there another way around this? No, not really. Not the way we've decided to set this up. How are you doing, Hex? I mean, the obvious thing to do is to just make a vector 3 version that's a different... Like, we would just rename this to, like, Texture Atlas Format V4. And then we'd just have a V3. Maybe we'd say VI4. Or V4I. I don't know. V4I. Something like that. I think I'm going to do that for now, just so I don't have to care very much. I know that I'm going on and on about how little I care and how I don't want to deal with this stuff right now. Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to remind yourself what your priorities are. I'm going to copy this. Make a V3i version. And that hurts me. That hurts me that that's how we have to do this, but... This isn't even that accurate, because the V4i version has a V2Z buffer. And I think that the V3 version is just V3. I don't want to make a format type for each. Oh man, this is a pain in the butt. How am I going to know which one of these to invoke? If there's flexibility here, should I just make these all? Should I just make these all vector 4s? No, because this and whatever, we're gonna do this for now. It's good enough for now. This is gonna be V3i. So this is gonna be a 3i, 3i, 3i. It does mean we need to make a vector 3i converter. It's fine, we just get rid of the W. Hex, you're good. You made some progress on your project today. Read the commit habits discussion. You escaped the low commit rate days and had a high commit. Oh, a high commit rate day? Nice, nice. You already hit the next wall, though. What's the next wall? Good enough for now. Yep, Rhiannon. Oh, Nanigans too. Good enough for now is the most permanent code you will ever write. Yeah, that's a thing my dad has always told me. He's always like, good enough for now is good enough to ship. Well, he says is often good enough to ship. And he is not wrong. Huh. I should use this. Is this 40 cent? No, it's only 20 something. It's not quite enough. This might be a complete list of the vector 3 neighbors, which would be useful. Oh yeah, it's 27 of them. Yeah, all right. So this is going to be vector 3i. V3i, V4i, V4i. The whole reason to have this thing is to have programmable texture atlas formats, but like I have to know what kind of format I'm getting before I deserialize that, and that makes it basically useless. So I need something that... I need the bounds, the AABB bounds thing to actually let me know what we need. No, that doesn't work either. Yeah, this sucks. We're gonna need to come up. I hate... We might make a little bit more of a custom. We're gonna do something. I did this the path of JSON to make it easy, but going that route is annoying, and eventually what we would want to do is we would want to be able to pull in a format of varying kinds, handle it the same way, put it into the same... Yeah, okay. And most importantly, not know in advance which one it is. I think I want my own format. We're gonna make a format for use in the game that, like, gives us some more flexibility. But for right now, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Future Dave will have to pay this cost. Current Dave is living for the moment. The wall is you found a minor inconvenience that will pop up far into the future, and you want to fix it now. That we've been avoiding that all day. All day. We've been trying to avoid that. All right, what else is busted now? What else have I absolutely broken? You're a V3i for one thing. Hey, Void Blit. Hey, Brainoid. New format. You're just a trendsetter. I know. I actually just heard somebody ranting about making your own little serialization format instead of dealing with the bullshit that's JSON, but like we're trying not to be that kind of person. I just tried to set up my textures in a way that would be easy for like modders to plug in new ones, and the wrinkle in this that we ran into today basically defeats the whole purpose of me doing that the way I've solved it. So we have to readdress. But how are you doing, Brainoid? Congrats on your D2 Jam performance. I absolutely, as trash as I was at your game, I absolutely adored it. All right. For some reason, you were the one handling the format buffer system here. That's weird. Void Blit, you would like to do something, but video games are too tempting. Why are games so good? It's a horrible problem. Hey, Exister. That's a great name. Especially the way you've spelled it. How's it going? Welcome in. No fooling today. I know it's the first, but like, it's time to get serious. It's Q2. We need those short-term gains to keep the shareholders happy. All right, we're going to make our new format, entities, because I absolutely hate myself here. That's fine. At least we can do it exactly the same way here, more or less. This should be a function. But we're going to just keep it in ready. Brainoid, you're doing good. Replicat reached 5K sales. Ooh, you're making a new incremental game that you're hyped about. That's amazing. We'd love to see that. Replicat. 98% of all reviews. Very positive. Amazing. A roguelike memory deck builder where you bend the rules of card matching with wild combos, strategy defining items, and cards featuring some personality packed cats. This is great. Very, very, that's awesome. I'm very happy for you. Actually, I haven't played this. I would like to. April Fool's is a good day to be serious if you aren't going to be serious the rest of the year. Good point. Good point. Wait, you can make money doing this? I know, it's crazy. Right now, if you want to make money doing this with a short dev time, make an incremental game. That's what I'm learning. This is great. Something about the way that the little icons here, the way you've got your little chits or decks or whatever, it feels like it's like the stamp collecting version of Balatro. That's what my brain sees. I know that's not what this is, but like, that's just what my brain was doing as I watched the video, knowing nothing about the rules. There's just something about this format. Great. Super smart. Super smart. Great Steam page, too. Oh, the Turn-Based Thursday Fest. Official selection. The Cosmic Owl says yes. Love the achievement designs. I love the prominent usage of the little cat, this little cat image. I recognize this. The Replicat. All of this is excellent. Yeah, only two negative reviews. It's amazing. Great job. All right, how am I gonna write this out? I guess we don't care. Say, what did I say I was gonna do? I was gonna like uncopy this, fix this, and then do it. Yeah. Okay. We'll say default format. Oh, that's not how we write out variables here. Same deal. You can say default buffer X. All right, now I have to be a little careful, more careful about this. So we're going to say cursor format. Texture atlas index xcomp O. Oops. I forgot one. Forgot the comps. my attempt to make it easy in the future to change these things, I have made it a pain in the butt in the present to maintain. That is not a trade-off that I like. And I'm going to rethink that. I'm going to rethink that going forward. But not right now. This is going to be hard to do without error here. Tonight at my co-working event, I think I'm going to be working some more on our game jam templates a little bit. Because, yeah, Ludum Dare is like a little more than 2 weeks away. All right, so these are all vector 3s. Why doesn't it think it's a vector 3? Cursor format.x face tile chords I. Oh, because I need to change you. Oh. What's going on here? Okay, here we go. Lamau decided to check the LD page. Yeah. Don't tell. Oh, is there some like crazy? Is there some silly thing? No. Okay. Yeah, what's it say? There isn't a lot of info available here. You got April'd? I don't see anything. Oh, I see, I see. Zerbu posted some silly thing. Funny. Yeah, the Godot Wild Jam one got me. That was pretty good. Okay, here's the Here's the cursor one. Now I just need to do the select one. This is so stupid. Why did I do this to myself? Select texture atlas format. Yeah. What did I... Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay. This is gross, and it's going to be grosser when I start actually splitting some of this functionality out. Because I'm just like casually like coupling systems for convenience, and that is going to hurt since we're trying to split everything out into submodules. It's going to hurt. But I really just want to finish this. And then go back and fix it later. Banner, have a good stream. All right. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Why is this here twice? Oh, what? Oh, I accidentally copied too far. Why don't I just pass the whole format in? Why am I passing like... What's wrong with me? We're gonna have to start having like a tech debt day where I just go back and pay off my tech debt. It's gonna, it always gets bad, but it's gonna start getting really bad as we enter this new phase of development that favors content over systems. It's just gonna get worse as I just become even less interested in doing things properly the first time around. Okay, where are the errors? Oh, way over here. Off the page. There we go. All right, how's this? How's this going? At least the texture atlas index buffers don't need to change because they don't care. They don't actually know about the rest of this stuff. Actually, do they? How am I doing this part when I make this? When I make this new buffer. It's just storing indexes. But the buffer is not made of. It's a buffer read write int. X. So you look it up, you get an index. Oh, it takes the coordinate. Okay. I'm a little concerned about how I've done this. I think we're going to run into another problem momentarily. No, you need a guilt-free, don't care about tech debt day, where you just slop together anything and everything and give it to future Dave to worry about. But we do that every day. All right, what's the problem? The JSON object contains a trailing comma at the end, which is not supported in this mode. Do I have a line number 78 as a trailing comment or a trailing comma? I'm pretty sure I didn't put trailing commas in this, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah, I totally did. I totally put trailing commas. That's the least of my problems here. Well, if that's the most of my problems here, that's great. Okay, now what's the next problem? Index outside the bounds of the array for a set. Where? Buffer read write. Set item. Drawing system ready. Line 45. Okay. We'll be making a game. Don't get ahead of yourself. We're going to be mocking up what the game is going to look like. That's what we're going to be trying to do for a few months here. Just focus on content development and present and like ironing out the art direction and getting enough content together to be able to like mock up scenes and stuff. Got to make the prototype first. Yeah, this is worse than a prototype. But yes. We want to switch to starting we want a non-functional mock-up of a number of areas of the game, like the key areas of the game. Like, what does the ship look like? What is the cutaway model we use for the given ship, for the starter ship? How does the little galaxy map thing look like? What does the UI look like? Pre-production for the prototype. That's closer. That's closer. I like to think of it as incredibly thin vertical slices. So thin that you can't actually do anything with them. But I just want them to look good in a screenshot. Hey, Remus. How's it going? So I'm a little confused about how I do this. So I make my new texture atlas index buffer. Your type is an int. So you just store indexes into the atlas. That's all you store. Those indexes are looked up by int. Where did it say 45? Cursor buffer x. Coords.x plus coords.y times 4 plus coords.z times 16. Oh, our coords are... oh, no. Okay. It's worse. It's worse than I had feared. What do I want to do about this? So... so the way we're storing and looking up these coordinates for these new buffers is that the range is from -1 to +1, and that doesn't work for obvious reasons out of the gate. You can't index into something that way. We have to do like a transformation of some kind. Or we have like a get index call or something. Could we do a get index if we pass in the bounds? If we create a bounds that represents the bounds of the format, can we just have that bounds convert the coordinates for us? I think we can. That would be slick. Incredibly thin vertical slice. Yeah. Wafer thin. So thin, people might say it's two-dimensional. All right, so if I want to get index and I pass a vector 3, which is the only thing we support, we get our internal coordinates. This will totally work. And actually helps for a number of things. Cool. So yeah, let's do that. Unfortunately, this bounding box is going to need to mediate all of these. Do you actually, are you associated with a bounding box, Mr. Texture Atlas Index Buffer? No, because you're treated as just a regular iBuffer component. Maybe we need to make this an iBuffer component 3D and pass in the bounds. And then do that. And then use that to mediate lookups into the buffer. That's not a bad idea. But for now, what we can do is we can say, well, let's make a buffer. Let's say cursor bounds. Say AABB, or we can just say variable cursor bounds equals a new AABB. It can be -1 to +1. Does this work? And then here, what we'll do is we'll say cursor bounds dot get index coords. Ooh, then we don't care, really. Well, we care a little. All right, let's see if that worked. Well, what we should do is we should have another bounding box here. Variable. Select bounds. I know it's the same, but let's just be good. Whoop. Texture Atlas format v3i is null. Neat. Well, that's weird. So I'm pretty sure we're assigning that over here. No, we're not. There we go. Right. No shortage of issues here. The given key, index 5, version 0, was not present in the dictionary. Interesting, interesting. Add buffer component. Ready. Select. Made changes that if wrong will cause an infinite loop. Oh, nice. Just funny in Godot because you have to kill 2 processes. All right, why are you a problem? Select component Y, game world dot add buffer component of this type. Oh, duh. Well, maybe not duh, but select atlas format. Copy pasta errors here. Weird that succeeded the first 2 times and then failed the 3rd time. Hey, okay. Well, we're able to take in that new format. It's not doing anything yet, but we're taking it in. It's good. One thing I need to do is tighten up the system execution order so that we get the correct draw orders for this stuff. That's a more technical thing, though, which we'll do later. The desync between the cursor overlay and the actual cursor itself is going to be annoying. But looking okay at the moment. Yeah, that's one of the annoying things of doing editor plugins in C#. It's easy to crash Godot. That's funny. Yeah, so far I haven't done anything that's been... I haven't done a lot of editor plugin stuff, though. Which is probably why. Oh, well. Unity engine crashes are still worse. In my opinion. Okay, so we got our formats. They're coming in. Now we just need to do the drawing thing. When you're placing blocks, just hide the normal pointer. Oh, no. I don't mean the cursor itself. We actually have I like our custom cursor. Our cursor here is the little spear. It's the spear from my logo, but at a jaunty angle. No, I mean, like, you can see the outline, the highlight fades from the cursor when we move it, and it's because the cursor outline is updating on a different frequency than the underlying cursor, and that's a system execution order thing. It catches up, but it's just weird. And it'll just be weirder, but that's fine. It might look okay, or it might look worse. But yeah, I like having a neat cursor. Sorry, my terminology is confusing sometimes. Okay, so what we're gonna do... Gonna do now. The thing we're gonna do is go back to working on this function. This one, box canvas item draws. This is where we're doing it. All right. This will be the real fun part here. So we're going to do the corners first. And in fact, our texture ID is going to... Oh, everything is going to differ depending on whether we're corners only, huh? Or there's actually a number of things. Let's implement the select first. Because why not? Or not the select. Let's do the cursor first. So bounds.getCorners. So this is actually kind of hard to do this way. It's almost better to do this just in order, which is really stupid. But we might as well do it that way probably, and then learn how we're going to roll it up. Let's do that. This code is going to be awful. Hey, Nix, thanks for the hydrate. So what we're doing with this is we're trying to avoid doing a lot of work and then just draw this selection outline around the bounds. You almost missed the stream. Oh yeah, it's already like 2 o'clock somehow. Jeez. We'll be going for like another hour here. Yeah, it started a little late today. How's it going, Nix? 40 stream streak, killer. It's like about 2 months plus, 2+ months. Incredible. Probably closer to 3 months. I've been taking some breaks. Speaking of breaks, tomorrow is going to be the last stream of the week because of the holidays and everything and some traveling I've got plans. There will not be streams Friday or Saturday this week. With your stream streak gotten, you're out of here? No worries, Nix. Oh boy. Sorry about that. Very bright. Maybe I could have a darker background. That's better. Yeah, the idea is to implement these selection outlines. That's what we're working on. So weirdly, I think the best thing to do is to iterate from the corners ourselves in a very straightforward way. Take it easy, Nix. So to render these corner pieces, what we do... I guess the corner is easy. It's the edge pieces that are hard. But I still think I'm going to do this linearly, and then we'll figure out... We'll see if we can roll this up into some kind of loop afterwards. So let's just iterate through the corners. I don't remember the order in which I get them. Get corners. So we start at the minimum, and then we iterate through X, Y, Z. Okay. Cool. So maybe we can loop through the corners. All we really want to do... Well, here. I think I know what we're doing. Emphasis on think. So actually we can... The corners we can do in a loop. That's pretty straightforward. So what we want to do here... Texture ID 5. Well, let's hard code this to a constant. Let's say like private constant int select texture ID is 5. Well, actually it was supposed to be cursor texture ID is 5. Select. Arneo, you might finally lose your streak when you travel to see the family for Easter, unless you're not streaming at all for like a week. Well, I'm gonna skip Friday and Saturday. We'll be back Tuesday next week, after tomorrow. So we're streaming Thursday this week and then Tuesday next week. So I'm not missing a whole week, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. It's fine, Arneo. We'll forgive you. All right, how's this work? How's this gonna work? How did I say this was gonna work? There we go. So we need to set the canvas rect. We need to set the source rect. We need to know. So the source rect is maybe what I care about first. Because the source rect is... I don't even go into the details. I have to look at how I do it somewhere else. Here we go. So it's the origin plus the atlas coords plus the region, or times the region. Copy this up. Okay, so we need those format comps. I'm gonna call this xdraw. Or we'll call it draw x face maybe. A part of me is tempted to do the whole thing as like one draw in some cases, but that's dumb. That's not a great idea. Although that raises the question of, is every one of these pieces drawn on multiple... Oh yeah, they're drawn multiple times. That seems so bad. I guess I... Huh. I didn't think about this super clearly. I don't actually need to do it this way. I mean, I don't need to be this crazy about it, because the way I've done this, I'm realizing every one of the entries is going to be triple drawn now. Is there a reason to do that in terms of, like, tile overlays? Not really, because... it's really just organized by z-index. I guess it's better to do this because we want to make sure that it's sorted correctly. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to handle the sorting. Well, it's too late to not do this now. We've put too much setup. But actually, maybe that's the better way to do this here. Oh, man. Am I just this huge idiot? Here, let me see. Should I be doing this per block, in which case we don't actually need to do this crazy new rendering technique? We could just use the existing process if I did this per block. I think I'm an enormous fool. The only real question is what we want to, how we want to consider the offset here. And the reason I was doing it per face was so that it could be sorted amongst its own kind. Like if we draw it per block and we draw it on this block back here, then if there's something in front of it, even if it would be behind this line normally, it would render in front of the selection, which maybe is the correct behavior. Because I don't want to give you the illusion that you've selected this thing that's not actually in the selection area. Huh. Huh. So, the way I'm actually thinking about this, let's take this. The way I'm thinking about this, excuse me, is to basically put all of these on top of each other. I think splitting it was kind of a mistake. Hold on. We have to do this properly. We're going to do this. Oh, maybe we don't have to do it properly. Maybe that's the whole point. So we actually made a mistake here. And I could be rendering these per block. Because other things aren't going to be rendered per face either. Here, let's make a new texture format. Or not texture format. Let's make a new texture block here that's block based and see if it makes like a ton more sense. Welcome back, Commander. All right, we'll save this at cursor block experiment. Rename this to block texture. And then we'll have a new layer for block outline. It would be better to render this per block if possible. I think. Otherwise, we're rendering, we're submitting 3 canvas item draws for each one of these, which I think is a huge mistake. It might be correct, but I have this gut feeling that it's a mistake. So I want to at least see what the alternative is. Man, we're the biggest fools of all today, because we're still working on this nonsense, even though it's a new quarter and we need to switch gears. That's how you know. That's how you know it's the day of the fool. So I'm going to copy over the footnotes, I guess, because why not? Footnotes. Footnotes thing is just somewhere for me to draw whatever. Okay, so what is the size of our block? It's 32 by 12 plus, I think it's 32 by 16. Just put this somewhere for now. It doesn't really matter where. So the texture, let's get that right. Oh boy. Any raid masters yet? No, not yet. If there are, it will physically block you from redeeming it. There's a 1 per stream limit. Sensibly. Quite sensibly. Oh, so actually... So what do I want to do here? I want 1 block. This is a 3 block thing, so I want forward block, mid block, corner block. And there's 2 back blocks, so it would actually be 5. And there'd be 20 blocks here. Half of them would be, 10 of them would be front facing, and the other 10 would be back facing. So the back facing ones would be like this. Right? Like that. Arnio, you gotta say it's nice to be back in your comfort zone with what you're working on, making vector calculations in GeoGebra. What is GeoGebra? I haven't heard that. That's funny. Figure out spaceship maneuvers. Commander, you swear this isn't a fool, but you missed a hydrate at the end of stream yesterday. You don't know. You don't know. You can't prove it. What are we shaming Arnio for? Oh, I don't even remember now. Oh yeah, they were gonna miss they're potentially missing their stream streak. All right, so like the front of this would be like, so the idea that I'm floating is actually rendering these per block rather than per face, specifically for these, so that we aren't triple rendering things. It's the idea. I'm not convinced that this is a good idea, but I am willing to explore it a little bit here. So this would be the rearmost, and that's the forwardmost. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. It's not. Well, actually, that's kind of correct, huh? I don't think this texture thing I'm doing is helping. I'm like trying to acknowledge that it would be the inside out version of the face, but I don't think that reads. I also think I'm doing this wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna flip this back. Because is that how it would work? It's for a block here. It wouldn't get rendered there. It would be like way down here. Something like that. I think. Based on what I'm seeing here. In which case, this actually needs to be expanded to like this. So this would be like what you'd see at the bottom rear part. Okay, so one reason we wouldn't do it this way. Just want me to stay hydrated? I appreciate that. So one reason we wouldn't do it this way is because sorting this is kind of a pain. It's actually not that bad. It certainly is more straightforward to just do the duplication and then just draw each face individually and then let the system like mix that in with everything else and then just figure it out. So like we could totally do that. But that, to me, that would be like every time we want to draw one of these. So we'd need to create a parameter for the X face, a parameter for the Y face, and a parameter for the Z face, and draw all of those. We'd be submitting for each block we wanted to render for this, we'd be submitting 3 faces, which is exactly what we do normally. So maybe I don't care. Maybe that's okay. And maybe it would actually be more work to try to get this to render blockwise. But we do eventually need things to be able to render blockwise. Oh, and in fact, this needs to render beyond itself. Really. So like... So the front-facing one, so like here's an example, which is rough, but is also indicative. So if I move these down, well, let's move these in such a way that it makes sense what we're trying to achieve here. kind of want these to be in the middle. Sense. Not having the outline on these is throwing me for a bit of a loop. Okay, so this is going to form the upper diamond here. And then we're going to draw some mid pieces, which we'll just need 3 of. And then we will need a lower diamond. Here. It's unclear to me if this is correct. So if we wanted to do this per block, it'll actually need to stretch beyond its normal dimensions. So if we were to stack them, they would look kind of like the... Oh, I guess it wouldn't look like this. We actually would still need ones in the back, huh? Yeah. Actually isn't room to do all of this. So like, for example, for this one, this is a really weird case. Because this one would need to be drawn in front of itself. So for this one, you would actually draw the outline way out here. But the regular auto tiling process would be able to figure this out. So the complexity would not be at the auto tiling phase. The complexity would be just making sure that we were sorting it correctly. So what we're doing right here is we're actually rendering 2 tiles outside the relevant block. I don't love that. So yeah, this one is rendered out like this. And it would be responsible for like this part. And also not just this part, but also 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, I guess this part, huh? And then the next part would at least be responsible for this part, if nothing else. And then so I could stack these and get the correct texture. But like, where does it end? So you've got 3. So the next one would be like, this one here would be responsible for, well, let's do the corner first. Maybe that's easier. So this would be responsible for like this part. I guess that's the real question, is like, how far do these go and whose job is it? Because like this attaches here. In which case, do we even need the middle ones? I mean, the answer is yes. But do the middle ones actually do anything on their own? I think necessarily the answer is yes. So you would need to start here. Go on like this. So this one would be like here. This is wrong though. This is kind of wrong. I guess it's not clear to me whose job. Like, once we start drawing outside of the tile, it's no longer clear to me who's responsible for what. Like, it makes sense that we don't want this part here, because we might not have a situation where we want to render both of those. But like, yeah, if we brought this one over, well, we'd bring the texture over first. Then we would bring this part over. Would we want a special one for just single cell versions? Like, would we want one that's just, I'm doing this all by myself? Which is like this kind of a case. Where we do all of it. Oh, here's the other reason. Okay, there's another reason we don't want to do this, which is we'd have to do... Well, okay, so what we could do is we could split it into foreground, background. You're gonna head out? Thanks, Nanigans. I know, I don't know why we're outlining. I said we'd be doing outlining and planning, but clearly we're only outlining. Because the problem is there's this thing that other things in the block would need to be able to render in front of part of this and behind the other part. And again, the question is like, what counts as what? You know? Okay, that's a good argument for not doing it this way. Is we'd still need at least 2. I kind of like this idea of doing it this way, but I think I need to experiment with it more to know whether that makes any sense or not. So we should probably just carry on with the way we were gonna, the good enough for now result. Or you know what we could do? We could just totally abandon this and work on something more meaningful. But I really like this outline. I want to make it happen. So this would need to be 2 pieces if we were to do it this way. There'd need to be a foreground and a background. So this would be part of the foreground. Because this would be something that renders in front of other things. This raises a good question, which is like, how do we in general handle drawing things that take up more than one block? My temptation was to just draw it from the block wherever their feet were, and it would just extend up. And the sorting based on where their feet were is exactly what we would want from any kind of sorting issue. So maybe that's how we establish the in front versus the behind kind of deal. There's a strong reason not to do it this way and to just eat the additional tile draws. It's an important thing to think about. So these would all be in front. This one's kind of dubious whether it would be in front or not. I guess these would be in front. You'd essentially want anything that would be included in this selection to be behind this part of the selection box. Behind and or underneath. So you would have a front part, which is this part. Maybe not this part. thinks I did this somewhere wrong. But like, you gotta run. Take it easy, Rhiannon. Gonna do the planning another day. Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna do. I mean, we'll be live tomorrow. We'll see what we do. We'll see the extent to which I resolve my annoyances with this. So this would, I think, be what's in front. Then the thing is, so now this is where we would flip this to be upside down. How did I get that off by one? That's right. So we would get rid of these. Well, technically this would still be here. So you do this in the back. You would run these along back here. I'm not sure what to do about the sides. I guess there's no reason not to do this like this. So I think this is how it would be. It would need to consist of two parts. Would that always be true? Like, would there always be? Well, I guess that wouldn't always be true. We would just be a special case. There'd be a special case here for when there was just one. So that's also not right. So this actually is wrong the way I've done this. This texture would actually be further back. Like that. So to combine them, you would just throw them in front like that. You'd have both. Although that didn't actually work out the way I'd hoped it would. Oh, it's because of the layering, right? So you would actually do something like this. So this block would cover these parts of the back here. Problem is... Oh, is there a problem actually? Or is this behaving kind of like what we would want? Maybe this can work. So this would be the special case for just 2. Kind of awkward how wide these are, though. This is like an extra... So these would be 40 pixels wide. And, 22 pixels tall. Super awkward. Hey, Dread Breadcrumbs. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Night Iliad. Take it easy, Magoo. I'll see you. How's it going, Dread Breadcrumbs? Welcome in. We're kind of agonizing over how to draw some selection outlines I want to do. We were all set to draw them per face, but I realized that was kind of inefficient, so I'm looking at see if I could draw them per block. So like here would be the per face renderings. And it's annoying just because it's duplicative, but you know what? It's probably fine, honestly. I just don't like it because it requires special logic to figure out how and where to draw these. And we can't do it block-based. We'd have to do it based on the bounding box because you would actually, if you stuck to doing it per face, you would be drawing outside of the box. So like for this 3x3 box, the outlines are actually handled largely by text by faces outside of that area to get this kind of nice look. And it means to figure out this drawing, we would need this weird special bounding box based thing. Which I don't want to do, but which would not actually be that bad. But if I do it per block, well, we'd still need a special pass of the auto tiler. So I'm not sure where the distinctions should be here. I guess both of these should be here. What does that mean? Okay, and then for this one, similarly, what's going on here? Okay, so this is missing a piece. So actually, the way we would do this is we would have this one. Whoa. What layer are you on? Oh, insane. So we'd actually do it like this, I think. Well, that's not the right order. It would be flipped. Like that. And then so now if we do it like this, then we can combine these. And it all comes up Millhouse if we do it this way. The only question is like, should this one have like this piece as part of it? Or should that only exist like during the midsection? Probably just the midsection. Not sure that you know what you're doing. You're intrigued by the process. Oh, no worries. We're working on an isometric 2D FTL-like game. So we have this 3D game space. It's basically FTL with vertical layers. It's over anyways? What do you mean? Commander's just like, it's over. The stream's over. We're finished. We're right here. Yeah, thanks. This is just like a style guide, but this is the kind of look we're going for. And what we have now Oh, you redeemed to skip music? Sorry, I almost never noticed that. I'll give you your points back. Sorry, you had to listen to that. Thanks for the hydrate, Remus. So we're trying to switch into more of that content development. But what we've got right now is this big tile editor thing. And right now our overlay system is really primitive. It can only draw over other tiles. But I want that kind of more stylized selection thing. But I'm running into issues implementing it. But right now we've kind of just got this gray box world where we can build these compartments. These isometric compartments that get rendered in 2D, but kind of, you know, they obviously exist in 3D. And so we have a bunch of systems designed for specifically designed for navigating like contained ships and stuff like this. And right now, if you try to do a selection, you just get this overlay, which is fine. I don't love it. Honestly, I should just stick with this because I'm hugely wasting time trying to implement this other selection, but it's April Fools, so we're fools. Part of the reason why I'm tempted to do this block-based thing is it would let us do this again. We could probably do something like this again, where we could have like multiple selection areas. Emphasis on probably. But yeah, it's really stupid that I'm spending time working on this. Because what we've already got works fine. But I am answering questions about more complicated drawing scenarios that aren't easily captured by our hull draw thing. So, by our current like tile-based process. So these are good questions to answer, and it's a good problem to confront rather than just abandon it. But we could implement just a per-face version of the drawing and avoid the problems. But I'm okay stewing in this problem for a minute here. All these textures should really be flipped around, huh? Oh man, we would need... No, we can't do this. Although this one would be over. These would all be over. I'm having a hard time distinguishing between the foreground and the background, and I think that's the most obvious reason not to do it this way. Is that I'm having a hard time distinguishing between what is being drawn in front and what is being drawn behind. But if we do it per face, it's implicit. It's like very obvious. That said, this is a great way of testing how to draw objects that are larger than a single block. Because most objects, like, I don't know, doors are not a good example, but maybe doors are a good example. But most objects are going to be bigger than just one block. The only things that really fit this neat one tile thing are like the actual hull of the ship. But like a character is not one block tall. And like a computer is not one block tall, like a computer console or something. I mean, maybe some of them are, but like these ones sure as hell aren't. Hey, the first postulate. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So, like, the way I want to draw these is I just want to draw them. I don't want to have to, like, cut them up into their different tiles and then splat them around. I mean, that's definitely the easier thing to do. But what I really want to do is be able to just draw them out per block and not per face. Like, draw out whatever would be in the block. I kind of want to do that here. The real question is what happens in cases like this where we kind of extend slightly past the block, which is a conundrum. So, like, this is a good example of, like, this is in the back, this is in the front. So if someone's standing right here, they would want to be in front of these. Technically, they would also be in front of these because this is low. This is below the block. So maybe we're okay. Because, yeah, if we draw this stuff as part of this block, everything else in this block would be drawn over this. So we could give this just a very low sort priority. That would probably be fine. It's a little more tricky here because, like, this band in front would be drawn before, and then everything else would be drawn behind. If there's a character standing here, they would be behind this. This is the trick. And that's kind of why I'm like, well, do we have to break these up into, like, there's a back part and a front part? And in fact, this texture should go back to being flipped. But again, we have a problem where, like, this part is one section, and this part is another section. So do we actually want to render these as different things? That's probably what we want to do, is keep breaking this up. So, like, this would have a sort priority of, like, this. But it would have a Y sort way in front here. This would have a Y sort also way in front. Oh, no, these would actually share the same Y sort, wouldn't they? So this whole section would be Y sorted to these points. Oh, but the Y sort would be per face again. Dang. Okay, yeah, no, maybe we do have to do this per face. Maybe there's no other real way to do this. That does not bode well for the future. But, that's alright. We'll figure it out. I am feeling the fool today. Quite the fool. How do I want to tackle this? So, like, if there was a tall character, I mean, this is a stupid example because if there was a tall character, this would expand up to meet it. But, like, if there was a tall character, they would need to be behind this and in front of this. And we can't achieve that if I just tell it to draw all of this at once. So it's not sufficient to have this be in one piece and to have this be in one piece. I mean, this is a stupid example because this could all be one piece. It'd just be kind of weird if someone was standing right behind this, but appeared in front of it. But I guess that's correct behavior because they wouldn't actually be in the selection. We're answering important questions. Well, we're not answering. We're asking important questions about what it means to draw beyond a single block, which is a thing that an actual use case that we do have for, like I said, characters or moving equipment. Mostly things that move are in this category. I think it's better to just do this per face though. I think I'm being a fool. I think this kind of bridges the gap between different things. But I still think this exists as part of this. Because this way we would get all the sorting stuff like for free. Pretty much. Whereas I think if we did it this way, we would still need multiple passes to draw everything correctly. And if we're doing 2 passes per block, then we might as well just do 3 draws per face. Because it solves a bunch of our problems implicitly. And we're not really saving any draws if we're going to have to break a single draw up like this into multiple pieces. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I think this is wrong. The idea of doing it this way. You're gonna head out? All right, take it easy. You'll stream some music production? Ooh, that sounds good. All right, so what I'm gonna need to do then is I am gonna need to... So we'll have to have like a X face draw, a Y face draw, so there's gonna be multiple draws. There's gonna be like draw a Y face. I mean, maybe in some cases we can tell that we don't need to do all of them, but I feel like we're gonna need to do all of them. You know? I think this will be okay because we are doing one thing, which is because we're kind of processing this at the bounding box level, we don't need to do all the searching, all the complex like searching that we would do to handle the block-based solution. There's a reason we don't do this per block-based or per block, and I will show the reason we generally moved away from per block solutions for this, and it's an enormous, terrifying diagram. What's it called? Let me see some preview or something. Here we go. This is why we don't do this. The combinatorics of trying to match different faces and outlines and edges and everything, this gets out of control so quickly. These are all just different outline combinations and stuff encoded to a single byte. But if we did this and then we introduce new hull types, then you get something like, you get, for each of these, you would need one of these. It'd be horrible. So we don't do this. We tried it. Did not work out. So I'm skeptical of a block-based solution. Yeah, that's the combinatorics of matching all those different edges for a single block based on its neighbors. If you do it per face, that complexity is way lower. Because each face has way fewer concerns. So yeah, we should draw this per face still, I think. It makes me concerned about how we're going to draw larger objects that are part of the terrain. Well, I guess if they're part of the terrain, they can be rendered like this. If they're moving characters, I guess we'll need to do something else. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. But yeah, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to iterate through. We're going to need to create a parameter for each of these. But if the choice is 2 draws or 3 draws, I'll take the 3 draws if it's significantly simpler. What I should probably do is set the Y sort for these, so that we actually know how to sort them. I'm cheating right now by just giving them all an X factor of 1. Also, we want to say cursor texture ID. But yeah, what we're going to need to do... Oh, excuse me. So we get all the corners from the bounding box, which just gives us back an array of each of their corners. And then what we're going to need to do is just draw a face on each of those corners. And then if we're also trying to box the edges, we'll need to do an iteration for the points between these corners, however many they are. So we'd say if corners only, or what's the other thing? We would need to know, oh, if bounds dot volume is equal to 1. So if it's a block that's size 1, we wouldn't draw the edges anyway. We'll actually want to check the bounds, if the bounds volume is 1 here anyway, because we would want to say, we'd want to change this whole structure. Actually, we'll make that a thing we do up here. I really don't want to have to slice up drawings into parts. But you know what we could do eventually is we could eventually make a tool that does that. That like takes a thing, a 3D thing. Not 3D, but takes like, well, no, we don't have enough data for that. I don't know. Yeah, we're really going to have to think about how we render big objects with our system. Like doors. Hex gotta run. Take care. Yeah, no worries. I do too. I also gotta run. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna go see if Commander Apollo is live because they said they would be making music. Very non-subtle hint. They're currently offline. RIP. They said a few minutes. We'll give them a few minutes to go live. Ooh, Big Boy's doing a 4-hour game challenge. What does that even mean? We might go raid Big Boy Games. I will be back tomorrow. We're not done yet. I'm unfortunately probably still going to be working on this. I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm supposed to be working on something else tonight. I'm supposed to be working on my jam templates. So I shouldn't work on this tonight, but I want to, just so I can make it. It can be done. But maybe we're just calling this a wash, and we'll just keep working on this. I know we're supposed to be working on something else at this point. But, you know, game dev is unpredictable. Very unpredictable. You never really know what's going to take a long time. But I do need to think about some stuff. Thinking about how doors are going to be drawn is an interesting challenge. Maybe we should look to doors as our first example of a complex moving object that we need to render. All right, we're going to raid out. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.